Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jamie Schenker-Passero. I am the Associate Director of the Temple Small Business Development Center. This is a webinar series intended to support small tourism and hospitality businesses as they navigate these unprecedented times as a result of COVID-19 by exploring topics related to operations, health and safety, marketing, risk management, contingency planning, and innovation. We hope to provide meaningful and relevant insight in relation to current small business issues to help you understand and respond to the changing landscape. This series is brought to you by the Center of Excellence for Hospitality Resilience, a joint initiative of Temple's University School of Sports, Tourism, and Hospitality Management and Temple's Small Business Development Center. For today's webinar, we have you muted, but feel free to post any questions or comments in the chat, and we will address them. We'll also be doing some polling to keep things interactive and hear more about your experience. For today's webinar, we are focusing on the restaurant experience, and we are joined by a faculty from STHM. Lori Wu, thank you so much for presenting today.
Thank you, Jamie, for the introduction, and thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining for today's webinar as we discuss about optimizing the restaurant experience during the COVID-19 recovery. As we know, COVID-19 has greatly shattered the tourism and hospitality industry and many small businesses in the sector. Before COVID-19, in the restaurant industry, consumer preferences between the two types of experiences, which are in-room dining and off-premises experiences, the split is quite obvious. People want to be in the restaurant. They want to experience the food together with the environment as well as the friendly service. The pandemic, unfortunately, has really flipped the whole situation here. Consumer preference, as according to recent market survey, industry reports, has flipped. What we can see and what we have observed from industry reports and statistics is that the daily transactions versus seated guests pattern, as shared by the QSR Automation's data report. As we can see, although daily transactions has decreased and is gradually picking up, we see that the seated guest is not picking up as much. Similarly, in a recent survey, consumers show that they're more interested to experience the restaurant food through methods such as drive-through, pickup, and delivery, which are off-premise methods to experience the restaurant. As we gradually evolve to the new phase, people are still excited to dine at their favorite restaurants. They still miss this experience of sitting down and enjoy the wine and enjoying the food with their friends and family. Against such the backdrop of the whole industry landscape, today's webinar, we will introduce topics of both here. We will talk about how do we optimize both the on-site restaurant experience as well as the off-premise restaurant experience. As the situation continues to evolve between these different phases and as the numbers shift in terms of diagnosed new cases, restaurants will need to learn to how do we adapt to the new situation, how do we provide customers a sense of assurance as well as employees the sense of assurance. In addition to that, most importantly, how do we take actions to optimize the restaurant experience? With all that said, today's agenda will cover 3 topics. First, how do we optimize off-premise experiences? Second, how do we optimize on-site experience? And third, looking ahead, what potentially could be some of the trends that we need to watch out for? Again, during this whole presentation, whenever you have any questions, do not hesitate to send them to us via the Q&A function. We will address these questions at the end of today's session. First of all, how do we optimize the off-premise experience? This part of the presentation focuses on 3 most important issues. First of all, conversion. How do we convert to the model? Secondly, how do we mobilize the customer experience? And thirdly, how do we design the better packaging of functions to better optimize the experience for the customers? First of all, how do we convert to the off-premise model? This is the part that we have a live poll question for you. So what we are released to you is a multiple choice question here for you to answer. We would like to hear your voice and understand your insights on the matter. Which factor do you think would matter the most to customers in terms of their experiences with restaurants offsite? Thinking about these experiences with mobile order, with curbside pickup, with drive-through experiences, what factors would be the most important to you? We will see your results and then so also compare with customer insights as collected from a customer survey.
Right, Lloyd, the results are in. You see that on your screen?
Yes. So hopefully everyone can see the results from the polling on your side as well. According to a recent survey, the most important factors driving their off-premises experiences are order accuracy, food quality, short lines, friendly staff, and easy access. Food quality and short lines, as well as order accuracy, these kind of food-related experience attributes, as well as procedure attributes, are really very important. Down to basics, it's about efficiency and reliability. So this is the basic framework as guided by those consumer survey results. As we can see, when we convert our business model and try to bring it from the in-room dining dominant model to be more inclusive, including in covering the off-premises experiences, while we are converting the business model, we do need to pay attention to these basic principles, being simple, efficient, clear, and accurate. We will elaborate point by point on what they mean. First of all, as you can see here, while people are turning toward food during these uncertain times, what are their basic preferences? According to the survey results, they want to have more, they prefer this kind of food that we call, or we categorize in general, as comfort food. So people want to have healthy food. At the same time, people would like to have a little bit of indulgence, as well as some sort of comfort as people navigate through this difficult time. What does that mean for us, the restaurants? Potentially, this means when we are offering this off-premise menu for our customers, it's not going to be the same sit-down full menu that we present them in-house. We want to simplify this for a little bit for both operational purposes as well as for customer experience purposes. As we simplify the menu, this is where we need to be very cautious in terms of efficiency, not only in terms of time, preparation management, but as well as cost. So we want to focus on those items that require low preparation effort. Any items that's going to take your team more than 10 minutes to put up, package them, and then send them out of the door is probably not a good choice for you to put on this off-premises menu. You want to focus on items that are of high margin and those items that potentially people would prefer. Right now, what's driving the demand is comfort food. In addition to that, in order for you to increase your operational efficiency, you do want to increase these items that in the restaurant industry, we traditionally categorize them as items that minimize waste, such as soup and those little small snack items. In addition to that, providing consumers the choice of combo. You're thinking about all right now, contemporarily, a lot of consumers want to have family dining and they want to order not only for themselves, but as well as for the entire family. So to provide those combo choices so that they can eat a little, have a little bit of variety in what they order, that's going to be a good idea as well. Lastly, while some consumers want comfort food, there will always be people who are health conscious. So what shall we do? Maybe one thing that we can do to cater to both types of needs is to provide consumers portion choices when we are designing this menu option in the off-premises model, so that health-conscious consumers will be able to choose smaller portions that potentially are healthier in terms of calories intake. Next one, moving on to efficiency. What does that mean? This means that potentially, yes?
Sorry, quick question. Just with the portion control, would you suggest, just on a practical level, that could look like, you know, lasagna for 2 versus lasagna for 4? Like, is that how you would see that done?
So the other thing that we can do is probably, one thing is that we can cater to different types of needs, one individual versus for group and family dining. And the other thing that we can do is potentially we can give them smaller calorie portion choices. So something that is equally tasty, they still can taste the food, but maybe it's a 200 calories version or 400 calories version versus a full menu option, portion option.
Great.
Thank you for the question. Regarding efficiency, so this potentially means that we want to reconfigure the flow experience. So this is where we're going to refer to the traditional drive-through model. So in the traditional drive-through model, when we design this experience, we typically give them 3 key stations, which are on-site ordering station, payment station, and then the pickup window. As we calculated in previous research found that actually consumer time spent in the first window, which is the on-site ordering phase, takes twice the time, the sum of the time you spend at the payment window and the pickup window. What does that mean for the current situation? As we all know, drive-through is not going to be available for all these small businesses, small restaurants out there. And many restaurants only have curbside pickup. So you do not want to have a lot of cars packed up right in front of your door. Potentially, if we can have a mobile solution to minimize the time consumers spend on site to order the food and to make the payment so that they can finish everything remotely before they approach your physical location, that will be a better solution. This is a very helpful way for you to minimize all needed social interaction so that when consumers are pulled into right in front of your door, you can just have your employees drop the food package in their trunk and they're ready to go. Similarly, flow experience, when you're thinking about reconfiguring for efficiency, when you're moving, this principle also applies for your back of house design. When you're converting your business model from a full in-house dining focused model to a model that's probably going to be more efficiency driven and it's going to be dominant source is going to be coming from off-premises mobile orders, your menu is going to change. So likely, the back of house of operational procedure and streamline also need to be changed as well. You want to make it as linear and as lean as possible and divide it into 3 stations and give it a linear procedure connecting from preparation, cooking, and then packaging, and then send them right to go. Everything should be efficiency driven. Next, visuals. When we're talking about clarity or visuals, we want to make sure that consumers have a very clear idea of what they need to do and where they are and where they need to go next. What you see on this picture here is that this restaurant here want to provide as much information as possible for consumers as they approach the physical location to pick up their food. However, when you give them so much information on such a small presentation of format, this could very likely overwhelm the customers as they're now paying attention to social distancing and people are concerned about getting out of their cars. So very clear, simple keywords type of signage can really help them and can help you navigate the traffic on site. And especially when you're thinking about you might be working with multiple platforms. So this is where it could be very helpful for you to design the window or the physical location, the parking spot for those cars or those drivers who are pulling in from specific ordering platforms. Give it Uber Eats or Grubhub or whatever it is. In addition to that, you also want to design a specific location parking lot, if possible, space for those customers who are just coming in and pick up the food themselves. So this way you can easily navigate the traffic coming from different sources. And also you would have a better sense monitoring that the demand coming from these different sources would be different, for example, then you will be able to optimize the traffic flow in that way. In addition to that, branding is very important in these days, especially for those customers who are directly ordering with you so that you can minimize those distribution costs that you typically would pay for third-party websites and platforms. So this is where branding is important. wherever you can, no matter it's in the packaging of your food or no matter it's on the plastic bag, or maybe just throw in a little reorder with us card, try to connect with them and try to brand your restaurant as much as you can. Maybe this means that it's your logo, or maybe it's just very simply your brand name. Whatever it is, try to send out the brand name out there and provide your customers a very clear method of communication so that they can stay connected with you. Thirdly, about lighting. Lighting is very important. During the summer, it might still be better, but as we approach later into the end of the year, it's very important for you to pay attention to the exterior lighting of your physical location. That means makes your restaurant logo light up as much as you can, and also provide a cold color tone, or very luminance-wise, distribution-wise, very even distribution of lighting of the driveway, so that customers can clearly see the signage and they would know where to approach, where to wait, and then how to get out of your physical location. This principle also applies to your online presence, the design of your website, or how you communicate to the customers. As you can see, our survey shows that when customers are asked with the questions, what issues have you had with ordering from independent restaurants during shelter-in-place restrictions? A lot of those customers feel like sometimes I cannot really understand a lot of this information as presented on the company's website or on the third-party website. So you want to provide clear, very concise, and short and vivid information present to your customers in a very clear way. Clear visuals is key. Lastly, in addition to accuracy, as we can see, the business model has continued to evolve during this time. We always need to adapt to new situations. Maybe it's meaning that we are shifting back and forth between restricted green, yellow, and then green phases. So that means we want to be consciously striving for accuracy, making adaptations as the situation further evolves. So this potentially means that we want to look out for these issues, especially taking a look at the customers' reviews online on different types of platforms. Keep a close eye on them. Look for identify these key issues, but also identify the causes, the root causes from your procedural model-wise. So is there a way that I can better design the curbside pickup experience? Is a better way that I can better organize the back of house operational procedures? Is there a way that I can provide consumers better experiences, and try to redesign and reprogram your model as we go? So one thing that for your attention is that we do have an upcoming service initiative, as mentioned about small business initiative reviews, that can help you and review your floor plan, review your business models. For more information, you're more than welcome to scan the QR code right over here, provided at the bottom of the screen, for you to access our website, and more information will be provided as our communication team reach out to you.
So just to reiterate, this is an opportunity for you to have an individual review of your facility, and that's part of this partnership that we're offering. So that would be STHM staff working with you and your business. So it's a really amazing opportunity. And Lori, there was something that you mentioned that I thought was really useful, just about the consistency and the accuracy. And I think this also goes back to a presentation that we both did a few months ago, thinking about social media. And I think a lot of people are turning to restaurant social media accounts for updates, because there's an assumption that, okay, if you're in operation right now, you will have updated information on those platforms. So this is not a time to slack on those platforms. You really want to have updated information, especially about hours and delivery and things like that.
Absolutely. No matter it's mobile or non-mobile, traditional desktop computer methods, we will also have an upcoming webinar that I will provide a link for you to scan through as well. So in sum, these are the key points and key principles for you to keep in mind as we convert into the new models. The upcoming about the mobilizing the customer experiences, as we just discussed here, right now the timing is not more, there's no time that is more important for us to emphasize the value of mobile connections as stay connected with your customers. But how do we mobilize the restaurant experiences, and what are the key things for us to keep in mind? Well, as we talk about, a customer's experience journey, when you think about it, it's not only about that moment where they approach your physical location, pick up the food, and then go. It's really a total experience. When you think about it from the very first moment that they have an interaction with your brand's presence on the mobile platforms, no matter it's third-party websites or maybe it's from your own ordering system, from the time that they are on the way to your restaurant, and also from the time that they pick up the food, and then later they're at home enjoying the food. And hopefully they are satisfied and even delighted to the extent that they're willing to leave a positive review over there. But as you can see it here, as we visualized on the presentation slide, customer sentiment or emotional level as they go through the customer experiential journey here is not necessarily the same. Perhaps their mood level at the very beginning of the ordering the food could be intrigued, or they're curious about your food offerings, and they're generally neutral. Because of the traffic, because of a lot of hurdles, a lot of issues on the way, potentially, this could be, relatively speaking, a negative emotional point along their customer journey. As they approach on site, this is probably the delightful moment, potentially, that your service staff could provide them the sense of, oh, this restaurant is really warm and it's different. As they enjoy the food, hopefully that will be able to provide, add on a smile to their face. Hopefully you're able to catch them during the right time, reminding them, hey, are you happy with our food? This is the time for you to think about, maybe if you're happy, perhaps leave a customer review on our social media sites, or maybe just share a picture of our food on Instagram. So this potentially means that when we are designing this whole experience along the way, connecting mobile touch points, whether physical interaction points with our restaurants, this potentially means that we want to connect these two communication methods, mobile and in-person, to optimize this experience for them. So this means while they're on the way, or maybe well before they get out, you want to provide them an accurate, or be accurate as possible, estimation in terms of when their food will be ready, so that they would know how to approach, when to begin their journey and when to approach your physical location. In addition to that, while they're on the way, maybe your staff could look into some of the customer history information. What are the previous ordering information? And also, in addition to that, is their birthday coming? If that is the case, maybe, or do they have a little kid? If this is a long-term customer of yours, maybe it's time for you to consider adding a little surprise there to bring on an extra sense of care and delight for your customers, so that they will become even more loyal to you in the future. In addition to that, you want to remind your customers to post a positive review. Many times consumers are happy with your food, but they're so busy involved in other activities and other responsibilities and engagement during the day. So you want to remind them and potentially want to catch them during the right time. So maybe that means that you want to give a brief estimation of the time window where they put potentially maybe 1 hour after they're leaving on site. You would know that probably that's the time that they're done with their food. So this is potentially a more helpful time for you to send them a push notification through various platforms or through various communication methods. Maybe it's a short message. Maybe it's a text message, or maybe it's an email, reminding them to say, hey, are you interested do you like our food? Do you have any issues? Or if you like our food, will you be interested to post an online review on our behalf? Many customers are willing to help, and many customers are willing to help small restaurants and hospitality businesses during this time. You just need to let them know how. In addition to that, some of these other things that you want to pay attention to potentially are many of those online menus that you provide online. Sometimes your restaurants are attracting new customers during this time. And also, it's maybe sometimes you are offering new menu items or seasonal options, or maybe it's an innovative course that you would like your customers to try. This is a time that pictures can really help you. Many times we provide menu descriptions and provide them course descriptions about how wonderful, how delicious these food are. But today's era, in today's information enriched era, many of our customers are visually oriented. So potentially, if you can show them a quality pictures of your menu presentation of your courses, that can really help them get intrigued and attracted by your offerings. Secondly, stay engaged with your customers. Sometimes they maybe have just done with your consumption experiences, but you can still engage with them, sending them a caring message. Okay, and also maybe you haven't seen them for a while. Maybe it's the time for you to send them a little bit of a nudge to show them, hey, we know that you like this, but now we have this new menu option that's similar to your taste preference, and we believe that you should give it a try. In addition to that, analytics, numbers, these are really important these days. And try to take a look at analyze where your customer is coming from and how satisfied they are. Who are those customers that are more likely to stay loyal to you and who are more likely to post positive reviews for you? Do more analysis on these spaces that can really help you drive up your performance. Related to that topic, we also have an upcoming webinar that's focused on staying relevant through COVID-19. How do you plan your social media presence? And if you're interested in that webinar, please feel free to scan the QR code right over here, and it will also be shown on the next slide for you to stay engaged with us. Also, mobile platforms present the wonderful opportunity for you to initiate, if you haven't done so, a loyalty program with your customers. Think in the case of sometimes customers, they are busy, they are working from home, and at the same time, children, many of them children, they are still staying home as it's still the summer vacation. So that potentially means from Monday to Friday, people need some help. I cannot cook all the time. So if you can provide them some meal subscription services that potentially are flexible and they also provide a variety of food options, that will be really welcomed by your customers. Exclusive promotions. So this is members only promotions. They cannot get from third-party websites. That can really be helpful in driving for you to lock down loyal customers so that you do not have to pay those premium fees or distribution fees to the third-party websites. Member-only menus. In addition to that, customizable offers. Maybe it's a catering event for these at-home small gatherings. Whatever it is, let them know, let your customers know that their needs are heard and you are here to offer them the help. Providing them options, providing them different service scenarios so that when it's an actual consumption occasion where they can choose from different restaurants or choose between they cook themselves versus choose a restaurant to provide the service, they would come to you. Lastly, about packaging. This is another very important part of the off-premise restaurant experience. For this part, these are the 3 points that potentially we can pay attention to improve the experience. They are being focus on customers' travel experiences and take into account their travel to your restaurant's physical location as well as back home. Secondly, inform them, provide them information about food safety, about food health related benefits. In addition to that, always take in the extra opportunity to drive in your customers for the next consumption case. And last but most importantly, try to provide an opportunity to practice sustainability, not only for your restaurant, but also for your customers. That way, you can potentially also help control your cost. First of all, customers' travel time, no matter it's counting in that travel time that they coming into your restaurant or going back home. Remember that time, no matter it's 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 40 minutes, however long it is, that will influence how food tastes when they arrive home. So that means if you need to package the food, a menu course, into different parts and then so that they can refuse everything together at home, or maybe utilizing taste-preserving packaging methods, meaning you have a very conscious choice in the materials of those packaging boxes for your food menu course options. Or be very considerate for your customers. Maybe your employees open the trunk and see that the trunk is all empty. So that means when you put in the food, it's very easy for them to spill out during the way. Maybe so then you want to provide them spill-proof type of packaging. Whatever it is, you want to be as considerate as possible. because experience is always in the details. And if the food spill out, or if because of the travel, it alters the taste experience for your customers, it will likely to push them away from the future consumption. In addition to that, information provision in terms of safety and health could help. This is not practiced much in this country, in my observation, but however, it was done in other countries, and potentially we want to share this example here, and if it's applicable, you could consider applying them or practicing them in your restaurant. In China, for example, shortly after the recovery or the peak of the spread of the pandemic, restaurants began to provide those information tag or assurance tag for the customers. Not only in terms of this is really protein rich, it's a really healthy food option, but also they provide information about who it is that is packaging the food and who it is that was involved in the cooking process. Prior research shows that when you tag those artisans' information or personnel information on the food packaging, consumers can feel the sense of warmth and love. They feel like you really care about them, and this food is not produced by a business machine, but by actual people living beside them in the community. Maybe this is in this very special time, maybe we can combine that artisan love effect as documented in the prior research, as well as the safety needs and the concerns, addressing the safety concerns of the customers by providing them this information. The other point is about sustainability. Percent of customers who consider those food sustainability practices, believe it or not, is actually very high, as you can see from these results. And people want to reduce food waste, and they want to minimize and eliminate those plastic usage and all those unsustainable usage of packaging. And that's a phenomenon that's shared across generations as people are becoming more concerned about wellness practices, about environmental sustainability practices. This has a lot of relevance in today's context, not meaning in the sense that you have to seek out for the most sustainable packaging methods, but perhaps maybe you can ask your customers, do you need the plastic spoon? Do you need this extra utensils? Or maybe you have that at home. We don't have to provide them for you in the sense of we are practicing sustainability. At the same time, it's minimizing cost for the business and for the restaurant as well. So altogether, we want to pay attention as we convert the business model, as we mobilize the customer experience, as we redesigning and optimizing the packaging experience for consumers as they experience our restaurants offsite. We want to give them the sense that although it's offsite, it doesn't mean that your experience is compromised. We're still doing our best to present you care and present you the most valuable experience to our restaurants. As we approach to the other half of today's presentation, we have a live poll question here for you. Now, the question is off-premise enough to offset dining losses? If that is the case, then probably we don't have to reopen the physical location. So we have a polling results to hear what you have to say. Please feel free to submit your responses to our question. And we will share these findings with you shortly. As you can see, a lot of practitioners and a lot of you said that the off-premise sales are actually enough to offset the dining losses. That's definitely a great information. If that is the case, then maybe we want to focus on the efficiency based functions and then focus on the converting the models in terms of off-premises experiences. However, a recent research that was done by Data Essentials showed that only 20% of the national restaurant managers responded yes to this question. That means 80% of the restaurant owners and operators out there thinks that there's still a need, and it's an urgent need for us to reopen so that we can potentially pick up the dining business. So therefore, we still need to think about how do we design the on-site experience. However, during the reopening phase, as the new normal we want to approach, what are the things that we need to pay attention to, and what are some of the tricks and practices can help us? Traditionally, when we're talking about restaurant experience design, that basically these are the elements that we want to pay attention to. We want to plan out the seat planning, the layout of the restaurant. We want to pay attention to the ambience of the restaurant in terms of how do we design the lighting, how do we put up the decor, and what kind of music do we want to choose? Why do we want to understand these design questions, or why do we want to try out different type of design practices? In the end, we want to drive sales, no matter it's food or beverage. We want consumers to be happy with their experience, and also we want them to be engaged with us on social media as well as offline, in-person recommendation methods. Traditionally, when we're thinking about the restaurant layout, right, we have a restricted space. What we want is we want to push in as many seats, as many covers as possible. Post-COVID-19, however, that picture is going to be drastically changed, as we want to practice 6 feet distancing practices as we move the restaurants outside versus having them seat inside. So that means this is going to be a new landscape, and we want to provide a new type of experience, and we want to keep optimizing that for them. Today's presentation, we're going to focus on 3 key elements, which are: how do we provide the customers the sense of security? And is it important, first of all? Secondly, as the restaurant space becoming more and more empty, as people practice distance, how do we provide this sense of perceived intimacy as we still keep them distance? Thirdly, how do we drive up sales? And how can we pace the restaurant encounter with the power of music so that as they're staying on site, they're spending as much as possible? First of all, security is key. Customers are still concerned about the current situation. As you can see, when asked about the question, how will you react immediately after shelter-in-place restrictions are lifted? 59% of the surveyed customers said that they still want to slowly return to the normal life. They're still uncertain about the situation out there. They still feel risky, so they want to test out little by little and then phase into the new normal. In fact, 16% of the customers out there says that they're still worried for a while. This sense of uncertainty, this perceived risk or worriness means that we need to be very careful as operators in the restaurant sector. Previous research shows that security, the sense of security, is key in terms of enhancing customer spending. Sometimes these seats in the restaurants, we want to sneak in and push in as many seats and covers as possible, but that could result in the restaurant space being too crowded and then customers feeling too close to each other. In addition to that, as you can see in this picture right over here, this is a picture of a restaurant in New York City. When people are seated right beside the door, with the operators thinking of, I just want to have 1 more cover and 2 more seats in the restaurant to have more to increase my revenue. But however, people might feel the sense of insecure. I'm sitting right beside the door. It's probably subconsciously or maybe consciously. I don't want to sit here as long as possible. I just want to sit here, finish my meal as soon as possible, and get out of there. Research evidence actually shows that by providing people the sense of anchor, by adding in this 42-inch stub wall right over here, in this specific case, customers spending on these covers, not only on the specific seat, but as well as the seats surrounding it or observing this seat cover right over here, spending all increased in this restaurant. By just adding in this physical anchor of 42-inch stub wall right over here, people will have this physical sense of, I can rely on something. This physical anchor can enhance their sense of security. And by adding in the sense of security, customer spending goes up. What does that mean in the current now? As we're moving the seats outside of the restaurants, moving into public spaces, maybe it's in the streets or maybe it's in your parking lot, provide them the sense, a little bit of physical anchor or maybe a little bit of dividers. I'm not trying to say that you should install physical walls in your parking lots or in the outside of your restaurants, but maybe if you can, add in some type of plastic or botanic type of dividers between seats, as well as maybe between the restaurant seats, as well as the pedestrians' walkways, so that customers will feel a little bit more secure. That sense of security is really important. During this time, sense of security will drive up spending in the restaurant space. How do we enhance the sense of security? Give them very clear signage in terms of where do I go and where do I stay apart from the other tables. Give them the sense of clear visuals and clear signage will help them better navigate in the new restaurant environment. Also, provide them clear measures and clear information of the measures that you're taking will greatly enhance their sense of safety and security during this time. And all that sense of security is going to add up, giving consumers the confidence in your restaurants, caring for them so that they're willing to stay in this environment for a little bit longer and spending a little bit more. And that is really helpful. For more information, you're more than welcome to join us on this extremely helpful webinar by scanning this QR code right over here on ensuring customers and employees feel safe, COVID-19 health and safety practices. It's coming up later this month. Intimacy. As the restaurant layout becoming more and more empty, as the seats become more distanced from each other, how do we provide people the sense of intimacy or the sense of warmth in the restaurant environment? Our research shows lighting can help in this case. In contrast to providing a ceiling lighting function or top-down, a very even distribution of lighting functions right over here, our research shows that just by toning down that general lighting level, however, adding in this little table lighting here, no matter it's a lamp or maybe it's a lit candle, whatever it is, it will be able to create a sense of intimacy. Providing this sense of providing them a little bit of central lighting at the table as they converse with each other, they can become more focused against a backdrop that is generally dark. So turning down the light at the background, but provide them a little bit of table lighting that can greatly enhance their interactions with each other. They will feel the dining environment will become more intimate as they focus on each other rather than the empty environment overall. Our research shows that just by changing the lighting from this general lighting function to a table lighting focused in the darkness type of restaurant lighting setting, we are able to increase customers' perceived intimacy of the environment, as well as their intention, their perceived attractiveness of the restaurant, and also they will become more interested to visit the restaurant. Our research shows that this is going to be more helpful for those restaurants that are attracting romantic or those dining parties that are seeking for romantic and intimate type of restaurant dining experiences. So if your majority of your customers are coming in from that cohort, this is definitely one of the solutions that you can do, you can practice, no matter it's an interior or it's outside. Thirdly, pace. During this time, you want to keep your customers in the restaurant. You want to keep them stay in the restaurant, and also you want to make sure that they're spending as much as possible. And you want to make sure that they're spending on high margin products. In the restaurant scape, that potentially means the beverage items. Prior research shows that by changing the music in the background, it can greatly enhance customers' intention to stay at the table, have a conversation with their dining partners, and also open another bottle of wine. Previous research shows that but by just changing from fast beat music to slow beat music, customers' motion will slow down. So this is where they're more likely to relax, enjoy the now, enjoy another bottle of wine. So if you're those kind of restaurants that are selling those type of experiences, potentially you can increase, you can change your music from fast beat rather than slow beat. Similarly, if you want to increase the customer traffic or by having people in and out very quickly, then probably it's the time for you to switch the music type to fast beat music. After we talk about both on-site as well as off-premises experiences, looking ahead, what could be some of the trends that we really want to pay attention to? First of all, contactless. Mobile payments or contactless payments have always been on the rise, even before the pandemic, as you can see on the left figure right over here. This is going to be even more important right now. And as practiced by many restaurants out there, people are trying to eliminate physical contact. And with those QR code methods right over here, customers are able to access your menu offerings and even make the order right on the tip of their finger. That's going to be a lot more convenient for them as well as for you. You will be able to eliminate employees' contact with the customers and also potentially better control your operational cost. But how do we make sure that customers can still feel the warmth and your hospitality while you are providing those technology functions for them to experience your restaurant? There's an upcoming webinar that's talking about keeping hospitality in touch with touchless service presented by our Dr. Lulu. And this upcoming webinar can be accessed by scanning this QR code right over here. In addition to that, do not forget about the solo customers. A lot of those customers are going to be accessing your services or menu services off premises, but you will also increasingly observing customers coming on site by themselves rather than they're coming in and dine at your restaurant with their friends and their family members. Previous research shows this basic pattern of the solo diners. These are more convenience-driven type of market. 89% of those customers, they prefer quick service restaurant, basically, and they also, when they're on site, they're more likely to access restaurant services during lunch hours rather than dinner times. In addition to that, when they're on site, all they want is speed and convenience. So when you're thinking about having those customers in mind, convenience and speed is key when you're designing the menu offerings and also when you're designing an experience for them. Be quick and be simple and be lean in your options, and by the way that you design experience, that will be key to satisfy those customers out there. As we continue to evolve and as the situations continue to change, we are going to be constantly shift between the focus of different models. If you feel like your restaurant proposition or your target focus gives you the better option to focus on off-premises models, then probably right now it's the best time for you to start the conversion. In contrast, if you feel like this off-premises experience is not going, off-premises sales is not going to offset your losses, that reopening, but reopening safely and soundly is key. It's likely that down the road, you will find out that from operational perspective, you really need to follow two different lines or two different streamlines when you're thinking about designing or offering experiences for your customers off-premises and on-site. If that is the case, there is going to be a split of systems and split of menus, and as restaurant operators and owners, we need to be attentive to that possibility. Content-wise, that is the end of my presentation. And right now, if you have any more questions, please feel free to send out to us, and we would be happy to address them right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori. Yeah, go ahead and you can use the chat or the Q&A to put in any questions. I'm actually going to share my screen quickly just to give you a rundown of additional services and show you our list of upcoming webinars.
And as we approach to the Q&A session, remember that Center for Hospitality Resilience is always here to help. So stay well, stay resilient. And if you have any questions or you need more resources, please feel free to scan the QR code right over here. It's a joint initiative by STHM and SBDC. So feel free if you need any more of our services and information. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right over here.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Lori. It was a great presentation, and we'll be sending a follow-up to all attendees that will include a recording and information about next steps if you are interested in a more individual project. So let me get to my screen. So quickly, if you're not familiar with the Small Business Development Center, we work with local small businesses to help you start and grow. And here are some of the services that we're offering now. So if you are here for the webinars, you're thinking about maybe one of the individual projects, but you want to know maybe there's just some general business plan review that you'd like to do, these are some of the other services that we're offering. And oops, there we go. Okay, so this is what I wanted to pull up quickly. It's just a rundown of the Center of Excellence trainings that we have coming up. So you can sign up for any of those on our website, and there's also the Center of Excellence in Hospitality Resilience website that you can sign up for those specific websites. We also have Center of Excellence in Digital Transformation, and we have an e-commerce and digital marketing workshop coming up this month for that center. And then for this month, we have the customer and employee safety webinar within this Center of Excellence. So I just wanted to pull that up on the screen. And this is contact information for the SBDC. So I just wanted to pull that up. And I'm also going to post in the chat a link to our resource page where we're housing information about webinars, about resources related to COVID-19. I'm going to post that here. And then we also have a survey for today's webinar, and this is really helpful for the team at the Center of Excellence because one of the questions is about other topics that you're interested in, and so we really want to hear about that from you. So let me pull that up, and then if you have any questions, the chat box is still open, so you can go ahead and put that there. If not, here is the link. So that survey is only 4 questions. We really appreciate you participating. One of the requirements from our funders is Small Business Administration. So that link is in the chat, and I'll include that in the follow-up email. But it looks like I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A or the chat. So I think we can end it here for today. Thanks again so much, Lori. It was a great presentation.
Thank you for having me here. It's a great honor to serve.
All right, we'll catch you next time. Have a good day, everyone.
Have a good one, everyone.